Hey, welcome. We're going to talk about molecules of life. Our objective is to understand the function of biomolecules, explain how carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in sugar molecules can form other carbon-based molecules. Here is our important vocabulary. Okay, types of macromolecules. They are molecules that are made by organisms and are essential for performing life functions. They range in size and perform specific functions in and among cells. Their function is often determined by their structure. If the structure is disrupted, the macromolecule can no longer function properly. There are four main types of large natural macromolecules called biomolecules: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. These biomolecules are composed of different elements that combine together in different ratios. Each class of biomolecule has a unique arrangement of elements. So here are the elements present in a carbohydrate: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in a 1:2:1 ratio. In a lipid, there's very little oxygen, and then a protein has carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur. In a nucleic acid, it has carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus. The formation of macromolecules, they're made of monomers. A monomer is a small molecule that can be combined chemically with other monomers to form larger molecules. Monomers are made up of relatively simple elements. The most abundant elements in biological monomers are carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. A polymer is a group of monomers linked to form a much larger molecule. The prefix mono means one and poly means many. Think of monomers as the building blocks and polymers as the final product. The process of making a polymer is called polymerization. Here are some examples. Dehydration synthesis. So when a macromolecule is built, monomers link together by way of strong covalent bonds. Each time two monomers are linked, a water molecule is released. This process is called dehydration synthesis. This process involves the removal of a water molecule when two monomers covalently bond to create a polymer. Additional monomers can be added to form a polymer through the same process. Carbohydrates are oftentimes collectively referred to as sugars. A carbohydrate is better defined as a biomolecule composed entirely of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in a 1:2:1 ratio. Carbohydrates also play a number of important structural and signaling roles in the cell membranes and cell walls of living things. They form part of the molecular backbone of nucleic acid, and they are critical for maintaining life. Examples would be glucose, fructose, and sucrose. A glucose molecule is known as a monosaccharide because it is composed of only one sugar molecule. This glucose molecule is an important nutrient molecule to living things and is a primary source of matter in ecosystems. Other important monosaccharides include fructose from fruit and galactose from dairy sources such as milk. When two monosaccharides combine, they form a disaccharide. Lactose, which is found in milk, is the combination of glucose and galactose. Table sugar, called sucrose, is also a disaccharide formed by the combination of glucose and fructose. Lipids are actually made of the same molecules as carbohydrates, but just in a different ratio. The structures of lipids are primarily long chains of carbon and hydrogen with very little oxygen, and they're called fatty acids. They're the building blocks of fats, which are a common type of lipid formed from the combination of fatty acids and glycerol. The structure of one of these fatty acid molecules is shown in figure 6 over here. The function of these fats is to store energy, and they can be found in fish, eggs, and oil. Lipids are also the main structural component of the cell membrane of all organisms. So lipids are nonpolar, which makes them hydrophobic or water repellent, and they do not dissolve in water. Proteins, amino acids are the building blocks or monomers of proteins. Amino acids are composed of the same carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms. However, all proteins also contain nitrogen, and some contain sulfur. There are 20 amino acids that make up the proteins found in living things. All amino acids contain the same basic chain made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. The side chains are what makes one amino acid different from another. Amino acids are linked together by covalent bonds called peptide bonds, which only form between amino acids. Proteins are essential biomolecules to all cells. They give a cell its structure, communicate information, synthesize molecules, transport molecules, and make up enzymes, which are molecules that speed up the chemical reactions necessary for life. Nucleic acids. Nucleotides are the monomers of nucleic acids, and they're small molecules made up of a sugar or a monosaccharide, one or more phosphate groups, and a nitrogenous base. The elements that make up a nucleotide are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Nucleotides are the building blocks of nucleic acids, including DNA and RNA, which has 4 nucleotides: guanine, adenine, thymine, and cytosine. In RNA, uracil replaces thymine as a nucleotide. The sugar between the two molecules is also slightly different. The nucleotides form together to create either a double-stranded DNA molecule or a single-stranded RNA molecule. Nucleic acids are essential for storing and using genetic information. DNA and RNA work together to create proteins and are vital in maintaining our genetic code. Importance of sugar. So as we can see, a sugar molecule contains all the elements that are in common between all biomolecules. It's important to realize that sugar molecules are the primary source of energy for all living things. They produce the necessary cellular energy in the form of ATP through cellular respiration. Some of the ATP will also be used to drive reactions between sugar molecules and other elements obtained from your diet to reform into other carbon-based compounds when needed. Quick summary: there are important molecules of life, which all contain hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. Thanks for watching.